So we wanted to invite everyone to a tour of the Pure Water Project, but because of COVID, we couldn't. Then we were going to just take a little tour with some local high school students with Dave Pedersen. Because of COVID, we couldn't. So now we're having a conversation with two community leaders, Jacob Rosoff and Zachary Rosoff, who are both members of the Calabasas Youth Council. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Mayor's Youth Council.
The Mayor's Youth Council. And I had the privilege of meeting Zachary at the Pumpkin Festival, and he grilled me for over an hour with really intense questions about all sorts of water related things. And I thought he's the right person to ask Dave Pedersen, who is a general manager of Las Virgenes Municipal Watershed, how does the Pure Water Project work? So Dave, I'm going to let you step in now.
All right, well, thanks, Melina, and really nice to meet you, Zachary and Jacob, and looking forward to talking with you. Just a little bit about me. My name is Dave Pedersen. I'm the general manager of the Water District. We're a special district. Our job is to provide water and wastewater service to the community. And we're also a member of a joint powers authority with a partner agency called the Triunfo Water and Sanitation District. And the project that I'm going to be talking with you about is a joint effort through our joint powers authority. So I want to make this most useful to you. So, I guess I'll turn it to you to ask questions, but I can also give a little bit of background about the project if that's helpful to you.
Yeah, I think some background just to start off would be nice.
All right. So the effort and the project really in earnest began back in 2015. We convened a stakeholder group, including representatives from our local cities and our elected leaders and environmental groups, to really look at some challenges that we were facing at the Water District and for our Joint Powers Authority. And at the time, the two main challenges were one, meeting some new tough regulatory standards related to the discharge of our treated effluent from our Tapia water reclamation facility. And then the other was to develop a local water supply, recognizing that we are water providers in an area where we don't have local water, which is generally in the form of groundwater. In simple terms, the Pure Water Project is really an effort to take advantage of water that we've historically released to Malibu Creek and that flowed out to the ocean, treat it to a higher level through a new advanced water treatment plant, and then supplement our drinking water sources for the community with that. And that's a process that we call potable reuse, which is basically reusing what was once wastewater to produce high quality drinking water. What we are proposing to do is a specific type of potable reuse that is called Reservoir Augmentation. And so what we do is treat the recycled water that is in excess of our demands for our purple pipe system. We treat it in a facility like what's shown behind me, which is a demonstration facility. Treat it through a 3-step treatment process to purify the water. And then we pipe that water to our existing reservoir called the Las Virgenes Reservoir that holds our drinking water. And then that water blends with existing sources and eventually is served to customers.
Awesome. Thank you for that background. So I don't want to get too scientific or anything like that, but I was looking at some diagrams and there's a lot of filtration and reverse osmosis and stuff. Could you talk a little bit about how those processes work?
Yeah, of course. And that's a good question. So the treatment that we're doing is really 3 distinct steps. And inside of our demonstration facility, we actually show each of the 3 steps. So the first of the 3 is called ultra or micro filtration, and it's using a membrane. And the membrane has small pores. The water is forced through that, and any of the larger materials, particulates, and materials that are not dissolved entirely in the water are removed through that filtration process. It's a physical process, so it's physically removing contaminants in the water. One thing to keep in mind, the recycled water that we produce is actually really high quality already. It's not suitable and allowable for drinking, but it isn't. It is very clear. If you look at the water, it's very clean. But there is still material like algae and the like that can be in the water. And so ultrafiltration removes that. So that's the first step. The second step is reverse osmosis. And that's kind of the heart of the treatment process. And you're probably familiar with RO treatment. A lot of some homes have RO treatment under their sink. And it is also a membrane treatment process. It's a physical treatment process where it physically removes contaminants in the water. What's different about it than ultrafiltration is the pore sizes are very, very, very small. So the molecules and compounds that can pass through a reverse osmosis membrane are really small. The water molecule, H2O, is a pretty small molecule in comparison to a lot of the contaminants that are found in water, and including things like bacteria, protozoa, and viruses if they are in water. Those are actually, in comparison, quite large. And so they're easily removed by reverse osmosis. So that's the second step. And then the third step is a chemical process, which is called ultraviolet light disinfection and advanced oxidation. So it's sort of a two-part treatment. And that treatment process is really like what sunlight does to disinfect our water. So when water runs through a stream, it's exposed to sunlight. This is really the same thing that we are doing. We're exposing the water to an ultraviolet light bulb as a light source, and that light disinfects the water. And when you combine it with an oxidizer like chlorine, it destroys the chemical bonds that are in compounds that are contaminants in water. So if there is a compound that passed through the RO, it would be destroyed, and the bonds in the compound would be severed as part of the ultraviolet light advanced oxidation process.
That's really interesting. So compared to other forms of like water filtration, is this method economical?
It is. It's economical. It is, I will say, it is a little bit more expensive than our current treatment process. Now, you have to look at where do we get our current water from and what is the cost. And so that the answer to that question will be different for different water agencies. But for our region, our water is almost all imported entirely from Northern California. So it comes over 400 miles from the Northern Sierra. And because of that, there's a lot moving and pumping and treating that water. What we anticipate is within about 10 to 15 years, we're going to see the cost of treating the water in the fashion I described to you actually be competitive and essentially equivalent to the cost to import water and to pump it up over the Tehachapi Mountains.
Okay, very cool.
One
So
thing you mentioned that I don't know if it registered with you too that I think is interesting is the current water treatment facilities that we have, that water is reused by being sent in purple pipes for irrigation. So a lot of public, lawns and gardens are getting water reuse. The project that Dave is talking about is exciting because it's drinking water quality. So it's taking it to that next level. But we're already recycling a fair amount of water in our community.
Yeah, that's right. And maybe I should explain a little bit about that. Our agency has been known and has been since the 70s a leader in recycling, water recycling. And our focus in the early days was really around recycling for irrigation purposes. And that is the purple pipe network, the purple pipes that you see throughout the community. Most all of our green belts, our parks, our schools, our cemeteries, and our golf courses, almost all of them in our communities are irrigated with recycled water. And so that water is coming from our Tapia water reclamation facility. We began doing that in 1972, so we were among the first in the state. We actually currently we recycle about 60% of our treated water. The challenge that we have is that the demand for recycled water, it fluctuates a lot throughout the year. And so the demand is really high in the summer when it's warm and hot and everybody is irrigating. But in the winter time, especially during times when it's like foggy or even drizzling, the demand for recycled water almost shuts down completely. And because we don't have vast amounts of storage, we need a place to put that recycled water. And so what we've done historically is we discharge that water to Malibu Creek. And that's where the tough regulatory standards that I mentioned earlier come in. And that water then eventually flows out to the ocean and it is a lost resource.
Mm-hmm. So like, besides, saving plastic and preventing us from just getting rid of our water sent to the ocean, like what are some other environmental like benefits or community benefits of this facility?
So there's a number of environmental benefits. One is, and probably the biggest two are, this project really effectively gets us out of the business of discharging our treated water to Malibu Creek, which from an environmental standpoint is something that's important. Generally, the environmental community really looks at water and wastewater agencies as being leaders in reuse and not discharging water to the receiving waters. And one of the challenges that we face is standards related to nutrients and nutrient loading to Malibu Creek, and our standards are very, very low. So it will have that environmental benefit that we won't be discharging that water that has nutrients in it to Malibu Creek. The other benefit is it's lower in energy. The energy footprint or the carbon footprint of recycling is quite a bit lower than importing water. It's about half. And really, you think about that and you wonder, like, how is that possible? Because all of the treatment that I described does use energy. But the big energy demand for imported water is pumping the water up over the Tehachapi Mountains. And it's a huge pumping lift, the hugest pumping lift in the world. And so there's a lot of embedded energy in importing water to our area. And so if we can reuse our water more than once, it really reduces our energy footprint and our carbon footprint. So it helps our climate.
Okay, very cool. I don't know if I have any more questions. Jacob, do you have anything?
No, I think you answered all of them.
Is there anything else you want to touch on?
I want to throw in one thing, which is sort of interesting to me, is this is a demonstration project.
Right.
So it's not at scale yet. So the new facility that will cover the whole region would be built at Ladyface, in Agora Hills. They have a site there. So it's going to be an amazing project, but it'll be scaled up. So this is like the opening gambit to show how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point, Melina. And I would love to, show you personally the demonstration project, and just to describe a little bit about the purpose of doing a demonstration facility. It's really to show people like you how does the process work, and to help you develop both confidence and trust in us that we can do this, we can do it safely, and that you feel comfortable drinking the water. And so when you come to the demonstration facility, you can see firsthand the 3 steps of the treatment process. We'll explain each of them and how they work. We generally will have one of our water treatment operators there, and he will help to explain. And then at the end, you'll have a chance where you can actually taste the water. And that's kind of the ultimate show of confidence that, you believe in the project when you taste the water and you join me. And I've done it many, many times. And you can enjoy a cup of advanced purified water.
Well, here's the clean water. Thank you guys for coming. And we hope that Calabasas Youth Council can inspire our other cities to have a youth council as well. I was really impressed by you and your peers when I met you, and I'm glad you made the time to connect with us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Zachary and Jacob. Have a good afternoon.
Have a good one.
Okay, is that a wrap?